The previous video showed the site preparation including tree removal and excavation. This occurred in early December. From that point on, the project was in permit review by the City of Raleigh. In February, the project passed the planning department and permits were issued. The builder scheduled the start of construction for March. The first phase included digging holes for the footings. This was a project that involved an excavator to do the bulk of the work. A team of guys worked on getting the proper elevation and steps where the concrete will be poured. They also placed wood forms for the concrete. A couple days later, the concrete is coming in. It took at least 12 trips using a Georgia buggy, which is kind of like a powered wheelbarrow. This is needed since my driveway is very steep and we did not want to risk bringing a 25-ton concrete mixer truck into the backyard and potentially cracking the driveway. Here is how it looked after pouring. It was still pretty wet at this point. It will take over a week for it to dry and cure. You can see that there are 6 step downs as the ground slopes back and downhill. The footings are poured to give a solid base for the foundation to be built on top. The back right corner is the lowest part of the project. The footing is twice as wide as the wall that will be built on top of it. It is also at least 1 foot below the frost line. On March 20th, the foundation blocks and bricks were delivered along with sand and cement for mortar. There are full-size blocks of different types and also a couple of half-size blocks to be used for the doorway. You'll notice that the blocks are arranged roughly where they're going to be installed. You may notice some steel rebar sticking up in the front footings. This will be the anchor points for the framing. Since the front of the garage will be red clay bricks, the rebar has to be embedded in the footings. On the next day, the masons started building the right-hand side wall. This lower section of concrete block is where the doorway will be located. The lower right side and rear of the foundation uses wider blocks so that the walls will be thicker and there will be greater structural strength. Here's a view from behind the foundation. On the next day of foundation building, the second wall, which is the back wall, was started. On the next day, the third wall, which is the left side wall, was almost completed. On the last day of foundation building, the front or fourth wall was completed. You can see it's made of red clay brick. On March 30th, we saw the delivery of 2 large loads of gravel. A bobcat bulldozed the gravel into place and compacted the area inside the walls. There will be 1 more load of gravel that will take place after the framing is complete. This gravel will form the floor of the garage. Eventually, a vapor barrier will be installed, and then 4 inches of concrete slab for the floor. As we look at the back of the foundation, we see that a couple feet of dirt has been put in place to raise the surrounding area so that the footings are at least a foot under the frost line. That marks the end of part 3. Next video will be the framing, roof, siding, and trim. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you have not already done so. It helps the channel grow. See you in the next video.